Heidi ho, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Sharon Combs, and this is Knowledge or Nonsense. I am excited today. We have two very powerful guests with us, two very powerful professionals, and we're going to talk about who said it and why did it stick. Often we get upset over what people say, or we move or don't move based on something that was said, whether we heard it ourselves or somebody told us what somebody said, or it was just something that was passed down, maybe from mama to daddy, and then daddy told it to uncle and grandma, or whatever, wherever it came from. Who said it and why did it stick? And why is it driving your decisions today? And so that's what we're going to talk about. We want to give some love to Mr. Perkins, LaWayne Perkins, president of CS Assist. He won't be with us today. He's out there doing what he does, doing what he can to improve healthcare and provide jobs for individuals. But LaWayne, we're sending you love. And I hope that you enjoyed this show on the replay. So y'all know what to do. Share this video. Get your questions. If you have a question and you want to ask it, put it right in the comment box. If you have a question and you want to ask it, but maybe you don't want people to know you asked it, you can text that question to 214-717-5921. Again, this is the best time for you to share this video. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on different places under Knowledge and Nonsense. I'm going to give you about 20, 30 seconds to do that. And when we come back, we'll have our guests with us. And yeah, we're going to bring the heat. Y'all know how we do it. Okay, so we'll see you in just a moment. All right, and we're back. Hello, Kim. How are you doing today?
Hello. Good morning.
Good
I am
morning.
well.
Good. I'm glad you're well. Hello, Tiffany. How are you today?
Good morning. How's everybody? It's Saturday morning and 100 degrees in Dallas, Texas. So get ready. We're bringing the heat this morning, ladies.
Listen, I'm in Oklahoma, and when I tell you it's triple digit here
Yes,
as well,
indeed.
as they say, as well too also, even though they shouldn't, but as well too also. Are you enjoying some good weather up there on the East Coast, Kim?
Yes, yes, it's nice right now. It's muggy. Um, the day before yesterday, I'm looking outside. The day before yesterday, they had or day like I don't live here. We had a thunderstorm, and then like 10 minutes later, it was fine. So we're good right now. Yesterday was muggy when I went to my first softball game, baseball, whatever one. I don't know the difference, but it was the professional, the professional league.
Yeah, that's baseball. That's baseball.
Okay, yeah.
All balls. Yes. Yes.
Was that your first time ever at a professional game?
Yeah.
You didn't know it was going to be that long, did you?
No, I left. I sent a text to my husband and I was like, can we leave like when it says 8, like the 8th or 7th or whatever? I think it was 8. And he was like, okay.
He knew. He knew it was over.
He was proud of you.
He knew. That's probably why he said yes.
Yes. All right. Listen, before we jump into this, I want to tell people who you are. We have Tiffany Wyatt with us. She is the CEO of Corbett Mitchell. It's a great marketing company. But before that, she was an employee and worked in like different radio spaces. I'll put it like that. So she was like what's it called when you're a person you're your own brand. You're just a known person. You're a DJ. People knew you just, I don't know what it is. It's on Facebook. You guys know what it is. Just like a brand person. And so that's what she was. And so, that had to been a pivot. And since then, she started a very successful business that lands contracts with people such as Toyota. I'm not going to get into all that, but she's doing her thing. And she has another brand that's coming up. And so there's some pivoting there. And I know there had to be some beliefs that she had to navigate from others as well as maybe herself. We'll find out. And we also have with us Kim Roundtree. She is She Empowers CEO, the passionate CEO. She is a co-owner, co-CEO, or are you the CEO by yourself of the Solus Group?
Partner. I have a partner.
All right. I believe you've owned several businesses, mental health businesses that you sold. So you know about mergers and acquisitions and selling business and all that good stuff. Yes.
Yes,
And what I love
indeed.
about this is we still get groceries. We still get groceries. There's so much information that you don't know. And so over about 2 decades, you've helped people know about business ownership, knowledge, and other ways to have streams of income even associated with their business. So it's
Yep.
not just one service, but other ways to just continue to supplement and grow and make money. Not the money is the main thing, but money is a very necessary thing. And so today we're going to talk about who said it and what. Now, ladies, there have been over 500,000 or more businesses started even since the beginning of the pandemic, and people who were employees or people who are being used to getting instruction in what to do now have to move into a place where they have to have autonomy. They have to give their own instructions. They have to instruct others and delegate. So we're going to get into all that. But before we do any of that, I want to ask you, Tiffany. Tiffany, since you were an employee before you became an employer, like, how did that work? Can you take yourself back a little bit to when you were just getting checks from somebody else? And what were some of the conversations and words when you were like, no, I'm going to do my own thing. I want to do my own thing. I want to employ people and I want to control my own influence.
Well, it didn't quite happen just like that, but I think the thing about it is I worked in radio and television for many years, whether it be local, national, or corporate, right? And so I really navigated that space, and with each job and each career move, it gave me so much more knowledge on how to run things, on how protocols, right? So I think that people need to understand that being an employee is so important, because part of being a leader is to know how to be a student, right? And know how to learn and gain from other people. So I think that all the different career moves I made and working in places like the Radio Advertising Bureau, they gave me so many great nuggets of information that I would take with me on my journey in entrepreneurship. So I think that there's just a little bit of a difference, of course, in how you navigate your space. Actually, there's a lot of difference, because when your paycheck is coming in every day, that's different. But when you're the paycheck, that's way different, right? Because there's a difference when your name is on the front of the check versus on the back of the check.
Yes, indeed.
Because when you move into entrepreneurship, that's when you learn that your blessings are tied to other people, right? This is how they feed their kids. This is how they get their gas. This is how they send their kids to college. And so in my day-to-day operations, I have to pray to start my day and ask God to bless me as I'm blessing others, because we do things as far as strategic consulting. And so those words and those advice that we give businesses, that's for them to do better, right? And so I think it's really important, as you navigate over to entrepreneurship or owning your own business, that you continue education. I'm a stickler for that. I'm always in some type of program that is showing me how to do something else better, or how to know what's going on as far as trends, or how to know how to be a better leader. I think it's one thing to do it, but for you to sharpen yourself all the time is so important, for not only you, but for your clientele, and for you to be successful and an asset to them.
All right. So I wanted to ask you also, Kim, why do you like what did you have to navigate on your journey? Like what were some of the who said it's that you had to navigate? Like some of the words before you got here, before you were making, you know, million
Millions.
dollar deals. Yeah.
I well, I got fired, from my job. I was doing a great job, but I got fired because the person who owned the company knew I had my own company. So his words were, I know you have your own thing, so you need to pay attention to that, right? So I was like, okay. Well, I said some other things, but I won't talk about it. If to be honest, but so that's how I started, my getting out there. And my husband, I had just gotten married. I had just had Hannah, and I was scared as hell. Like, I was like, what am I gonna do? I called him and I said, come pick me up, because we had one car. Come pick me up, because I just got fired. So he told me, you can do whatever you want to do.
Come
You
on.
if you want to be a full-time entrepreneur, then do that now. This is the best time. I looked at him, I was like, for real? Like, I didn't believe it. And so what I had to realize is I had to get out of my own mindset at that moment, because fear will stop you from doing it. But failure will stop you from doing it again. So for me, the fear that sat in at that moment, it was paralyzing. So what I needed was to hear that I could do it over and over and over again. So my husband had to tell me that. And so I did that. So what I would say for that, you need to have someone in your inner circle that can speak life into your situation when you cannot, right? So you need that. And then once you start doing your own business, as entrepreneurs, we're the only ones that I know of that will leave a 40-hour work week or less to work 100
Yes.
hours a
120
week,
hours a week.
right? It's crazy, but you're doing it for yourself. So it doesn't even sound like, it doesn't feel like 100 hours. It feels like, regular 40, but we do hours around 9 p.m., 2 a.m., one, stuff like that. But so what I found is that there's a quote that Dr. Covey says. It was, keep the main thing the main thing. Yeah, y'all heard that, right?
Yes.
I actually heard it from you. You were the first
Oh,
one I
really?
heard. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I love that quote. This something that we've heard. Was that your question? Because I feel like I'm rambling. Was that
It is a question, so you can
okay?
go right into it. When we do
So,
these, they're just organic conversations
okay,
to
cool.
bring tidbits.
Keeping the main thing the main thing. I think the pressure of the word balance, where they say create a business and a lifestyle balance. When they talk about that, when I say they, people, because we hear it, it's only towards women. I don't hear them telling men to keep a lifestyle
Here we
balance.
go. Yeah, come
And
on with
I
it.
don't like that. I don't like it. And then as it relates to women, the pressure of balance. That word is pressure. It brings pressure. Like my heart is like, whenever I hear it, my heart gets faster. Like it beats a little faster. And I don't think that we have to create balance. What I believe is that we need to be present with and whom and what we're present with at that moment. So if I'm with my friend, then I need to be present with my friend. If I'm with my daughter Hannah, then I need to be present with my daughter Hannah. And what does present mean? That means giving her my full attention, not being on phone or Facebook or having a conversation in the car or looking at my phone in the car or in my own head in the car. I need to be with Hannah. And so it removes the pressure of having to achieve balance because I'm with whoever I'm with at that moment. Now, I'm not 100%. I still get in the car when my husband is driving and I'm texting or I'm holding another conversation. He'll look at me and like, oh, I can't say that word either, but he'll look at me and he'll say, no, hello, I'm not your driver. I'm not your Uber driver. I'm your husband. Can you pay
Wow.
attention? And I'm like, okay, yeah. Well, can I get a driver? So those are the conversations. So that's what I would say. Be present with who you're present by. I mean, who you're present with, like whoever's in your presence, be present with them. And 3 years ago, December for Christmas, I said, my present is to be more present. That's what I gave my family at that moment.
Because you had been working like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
24.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, I don't think people are aware. It's kind of like being a leader or not being funny, being a millionaire or being a CEO. Like it looks sexier from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
If that was me, I would do. No, no, you wouldn't. If you haven't done step 1, 2, and 3, there's no way you're going to know how to excel at step 12. It's just something people say. If that was me, I would. Wouldn't you?
Well, I
I
think
say
it's
that
like
all the
being
time.
a
Go
NFL
ahead.
player. Like people are like, "Oh, I want to be in the league," and I think it's much sexier from the outside than from the inside looking out. Right? They're not there when those young men's their ankles are swollen up right after the game, or their legs are swollen up, or they can't move. They're not looking at how it's like tearing apart their body, or they don't look at how it leads to CTE, right? What they look at, oh, you're getting paid a lot of money and you're crushing it on the field. But there are byproducts of that, right? There's side effects of your success, right?
Yes, there
You
is.
know, there's,
That
you can
again.
work 40 hours and go home, and guess what? You don't have to worry about it till the next day. The reality as a entrepreneur, or just as someone who is running any type or facilitating anything, you're never truly off, right? There's times when I've worked 16 weeks in a row with not one day off, right? Because we have promotions, because we have to prepare for things, because we have to, connect with our vendors. We have to make sure things are set up, facilitated. And, there are byproducts of us running our bodies that long, right? And so what you learn is she's right. Balance is like a unicorn, right? It's like
Yes,
I
it
heard
is.
about it, but I've never saw it, right? And so I think that for at some point in time, you have to say, "Hey, guess what?" Because I think it's a self-check thing, right? When you work so much, you're like, okay, like I'll be like, let's just get away for a few days, because you realize that, hey, I have not been emotionally available to my family, right? So you have to make certain that you have a self-check that says, hey, look, I need to be present, as Kim says. I need to be there. They just want to know what's going on, and they don't want to hear about work. They don't want to hear about conference calls. They don't want to say, just give me 1 minute. So we want to make certain after a certain hour, you have to be able to say, I'm going to hone this down. So it's all about also the fear. I think it relates back to the fear. I think fear paralyzes you. And I think
Yes.
sometimes that fear of, is this going to fall? We're always fearful, I think, as leaders, of dropping the ball, because we know how that one ball drop can just go all out of control.
Okay, let's right there. Let's pause for just a moment. Because we talked about balance and we talked about fear. And in the context of who said it and why did it stick? Like where does the fear come from? Like you have a fear, you don't want a ball to drop. Or like when you said balance, when people say balance, it hits you adversely because like who defined that? Yeah, guys, so the conversation has now become organic. These questions are going to come in any type of area, but the skeleton's still the skeleton. So like where did that come from? That balance has to look this way? Or that like where did the fear come from? Because we're only born with two, and that's
Mm-hmm.
loud noises and falling. So
Mm-hmm.
all these other fears that are associated, like where did that come from? Who said what first, and why does it stick? Like when does it become a primary driver? Y'all ain't ready today. We in it.
Yeah, no,
Mm.
no, 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 no. The fear for me, I believe that fear comes from we create fear ourselves. We create
Yes.
it in our minds, and we create it in our. And this is, I believe, this is where it comes from. It comes from looking at other people. It comes from trying to match ourselves up with other people that might be doing the same thing that we're doing, or might be doing something totally different. But we look at what they're doing and we compare ourselves to what they're doing and we're not doing. So then we try to achieve something that you maybe ought not have to achieve, right? Because we want it to look like that. And I think the pressure of that again, um, what people see on social media, and I'm not going to say everyone because there's a lot of people who tell the truth on social media. I'm one of them. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you the bad stuff. I'm going to tell you the bad and the good. But some people don't. It takes, an hour to get a good shot. And so they'll put that good shot out there, but they didn't tell you about what happened an hour before. They're going to
Mm.
show you the best pictures of the events that they had, right? Where you'll see like a whole lot of people, but you don't know that those are fake people. Hear me. You don't
Mm.
know that those are someone else's audiences. You don't know that.
Wow.
You think that those are the people that attended that person's event. No, that was from like 2 years ago, right? So we look at those posts and we're saying, "Oh my God, I got to be that way." So then now I got to create something to do it. And then now, what if I fail at it. So now I'm fearful to even do it. It's like you're in this little round circle going around and around and around. And I think we create it for ourselves. If we stop looking at other people and stay in your lane and do what you're supposed to do, it's hard to do, but it takes practice, right? It takes practice. Failure is practice in motion. So if
Come
you
on,
have
I
to
like
keep
that.
doing it, you have to keep doing it and keep doing it. We didn't ride a bike on the first time. We would have to practice it, and you get
Yeah.
better at it. And that's what I believe happens. Fear comes from our own set of values within our mind, but it comes from somebody else. It comes from what we see.
Wow, I have so much I could say on there, but Tiffany, I mean, what?
Well, I think with fear, like I'm gonna be very honest and transparent. I think my fear has been self-inflicted, right? Because I think the biggest competitor I have is myself, right? And so I remember around Christmas time, this Christmas is just past. I remember coming up the steps, and I was, vacation time. No one is working but me. Okay. And my son was like, let's go do this. I said, I got it. And I told him, I was like, let me get this done. And then I had the aha moment. I realized nobody needs this right now. And it's just like, you just sit and reflect for a quick second. And I realized, I was like, you know what? I'm the one I said it out loud. I was like, why am I putting this much pressure on myself?
Yeah.
I was like, and my son said, exactly, let's go to the movies. And so in that moment, I just had to laugh. And it also was an aha moment for me because I realized sometimes the way you're built, right? When you're built as an overachiever, you always feel the need to overachieve. And the overachievedness is not because someone else has set those standards for us. It's because we've set those standards for ourselves, right? And so I think that people have to realize that success is only failure. If you have not failed, you have not succeeded, because that failure, it's like, okay, I tried it for the 123rd time. I found something that worked. I found a formula that worked. And that formula that worked was because you tried all these other times, right? And I think that that's why they say there's nothing that beats a fail like a try. And so I think that it's about navigating your own personal space and figuring out what is important to you where you are now. Life changes, and regardless whether you want it to or not, change occurs. And I think that you have to, the word of the pandemic, pivot. But I think that pivoting has to be personally and professionally, right? Because what you need at 30 is not what you need at 40. What you need at 40 is definitely not what you need at 50, right? And your priorities change. And hopefully as you age, someone told me this right before I quit my job. It was a really good friend of mine. Her name was Beverly. And she is awesome. And she called me in her office. We worked together. She called me in her office. She's like, Tiffany, come talk to me. I got to talk to you real quick. I said, okay. We used to slip over and talk to her office. And she was like our, chief CAO and stuff. She's like, come in my office. And this is what she gave me for my birthday. She said, I'm going to give you this piece of advice. She said, I need you to be a little bit more selfish. That's what I want you to do for your birthday this year. And I said, huh? And she said, I need you to be a little bit more selfish. And that has stuck with me ever since she told me that. A month later, I quit my job. Because what I had to do is I had to learn to trust and believe and stand on my faith and know what was best for me. I knew it was no longer serving me to be there. I knew there was no more that I would grow there, right? And more importantly, she knew that I had this business. She knew that I was always a giver. And as you get older, you have to learn to be protective of your energy and protective of who you share that space with, whether it's giving to them in advice, in your time, or your energy, right? So that really made me look and say, hey, I do need to be a little bit more selfish. I do need to invest a little bit more time and energy in myself. I do need to still get my facials every week. I still need to do these different things because guess what? Give everyone, time and money and energy, but we can sit down with each other and get mad at one of my friends said a $35 crab cake, but she works so many hours that you're like, wait a minute, but we don't have any problem signing $300 for, a basketball league or a football league for our kids. We don't even look at how much it is. We just write the check.
You're right.
Right. And so we got to make sure that we're writing the check on ourselves. whether that's for a foot massage, whether that is for yoga, whether that is for an educational course that will help us, try to get that balance. But I think that being fearful of letting go of things is hard, because I think some of it's triggered from the way you grew up, from financial habits or your parents may have, or whatever. You just know, like, I don't want to be in that situation, right? But I think that sometimes we run in emergency mode or survival mode too long. Like, calm down, like tranquila, like chill out for a second. It all balances out. You're going to be okay. The company's not going to shut down because you take off 2 weeks of work.
I had,
Go ahead,
excuse me.
Kim.
When you just said that it's going to come, it's going to happen, it'll be okay, right? There, okay, how am I going to say this? Okay, so if you, this is my opinion, if you've never had money,
money, not just money, but money.
Yeah, if you've never had
money, if you never had money,
if you've never had money, when you get it, you won't know what to do with it or how to deal with it, right? And so sometimes when you even have money, when you've grown up with money and you get it, sometimes you'll just mess it up, and it happens. I could tell you it for my experience. Okay, I grew up with money, but I didn't, when I got grown, I didn't want to go back into my family and be like, hey, y'all, I want some money. I wanted to do it on my own, right? So looking back, I probably should have asked them. But what happens is if you cannot balance and budget $1,000, let's just say $1,000, you will not be able to have $1 million. It's just not going to happen. It will not happen. And what happens is, and I can tell you my experience, you'll have the money, you'll spend it, and then you'll wake up and be like, where'd that money go? Right? Because after the IRS takes their portion, and after you pay the state, and I'm in North Carolina, the state, they act like they broke, but they're not. But anyway, so, the state and the IRS, $1 million is not $1 million anymore. Right? And so then you start something that we do as generally a people, and I'm talking about Black people. We like to wear our money. And I'm not saying that you can't get good things. I'm not saying it. No one says it. No one will tell you that I say that, because I like nice things. But I think if you put your focus on nice things, the nice things will outweigh what it is that you want to do for legacy. We do we do business for legacy. Your reason should be what you leave someone, right? And if you leave them with debt, then they won't have any money. that makes sense, right? So for me, I filed bankruptcy. And when you file bankruptcy, it makes you feel initially, until you talk to someone white, that it's a tool. Bankruptcy is a tool. Okay. Some of us don't use it as a tool. We use it like we just failed and we're going to go to hell.
Failed in life. It's over.
No, it is not. It helped me. If you do it the way that other people do it, and you prescribe to their way of life, if you will, it will be a benefit. But this is what happens. Your mindset shifts into a poverty mindset once you file bankruptcy. And so you have to come against that. And so what I had to do, I realized that a few times ago, and I read this book called Happy Money. And it changed my life about how I view money. Happy money, because you'll start living in scarcity. Do you understand? You'll start living in scarcity because you don't have it, right? So you'll say, I'm not paying $3 for a glass of iced tea. I'm not going to pay, $4 or $50 for this pair of pants. And are you kidding me? And you have $1 million. Listen to what I'm saying. You have $1 million, but you don't want to pay $4 for a glass of tea or $3. So it starts with your mindset. So you have to check your mind when it comes to money and how you're going to live if you are an entrepreneur, or even if you're not an entrepreneur and you're working. You might want to check why you're working. I mean, why are you working? Of course we're working for money, but how are you going to leave a legacy for the people that you love and that you leave? Now, I don't know why I said that, but I believe that there's somebody in here, and I'm not prophetic like, this ma'am, right? Wait, which way? Yeah. I'm not prophetic like her, but I do believe that people say things when they're supposed to say things. So I believe that there's some people in here who might be struggling financially. And if you're struggling financially, it's okay to tell people that you're struggling financially. If you're an entrepreneur, a lot of entrepreneurs, we work through our credit cards. We put our money, our bills on our credit cards, and then we say to ourselves, well, I'll get a big amount next month, and then I'll pay off the credit card. But the next month doesn't happen. So therefore we put more money on our credit cards, and then our credit card is maxed. So then what do? We panic.
Okay,
Just saying.
Where is this coming? But right, I hear you, and we do it. But where do we get it from? Like, why does that stick? Why do we believe I'm going to get this big thing? Like, especially if there's not a pattern of it. Because on this side of life, I'm patterns over promises.
Yeah.
I think the pattern of you getting this big lump. Like, where did that
thing about it as an entrepreneur and running companies is like, you're always going to have a deal that's pretty 95% done, and like next thing you know, things have changed on their end. It can be something simple as somebody changing. It's not a priority to them like it was, a month ago, or someone decides at the last minute. You can met with somebody, sign paperwork and everything, and they're like, okay, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, and they're like, I'm so sorry, we're gonna have to wait until after the new year. You're like, wait a minute, right? And so that's the ups and downs of running your own company. And I think that you would be surprised, but a lot of people got jobs at good companies and they broke. Now let's talk about that. People is living paycheck to paycheck. They're trying to figure out, like out here right now, gas. Come on now, gas almost $5 a gallon. Eggs are $3, ma'am. Ma'am, I remember they were 69 cents when I paid in eggs last year with my little nieces and nephews. So the thing about it is that people still have kids to raise. They got kids to raise. Like, and you got people out here having to decide between feeding their family and getting gas for work, and they're working every day. And some of them are 2-people household, right? So the thing about it is that some people are really good with money. Some people are really not. Luckily, most people go with someone who's opposite, right? But then there's sometimes that the reality is you don't have no money to save. Not everybody is making excess or, making enough money to put in the bank every, put a savings aside or over, invest in their 401k, right?
Let's be honest, this is the danger though, right? Not the danger. This is the nonsense. All right. So I'm weighing in on this conversation too.
Wait, before you say it, can I tell you what I think it comes from? I think it comes from by any means necessary. I think that's where it comes from. We hear other people tell us that you should do this by any means necessary. And so therefore we find out what that mean is and we do it by any means necessary. And I don't think that that's accurate. I think you should change or try to figure out some other means that's necessary, and that doesn't put you in debt.
So when I first went into business, and I am an entrepreneur, I am not, to me, there's a difference between entrepreneur and business owner. Business owners have employees of several businesses that they tell to do. I feel like when you're an entrepreneur, you are the employee, you are the visionary, you are the VP. Like you have on, if you spin your hats, at no time is there not a brim in front. You can't turn your head to the back because something else is still in the front. When you are a true entrepreneur type things. And so, but I've always believed in, as Derek said, multiple income streams. Even when I was employee, I'm going to have 2 jobs and doing 2 somethings. It got to be 4 on the stove. Now, something may be simmering and something may be boiling and something just maybe getting ready to get cooked. But I never want to be trapped with just one stream. Now, when I first started, there were people, here's the key too. When I first started, there were people who told me, well, you got to do this because this is how certain people do it.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever that certain people is.
Mm-hmm.
Or this is what you have to do. But later I was like, the people I was listening to, they didn't have businesses.
Hello.
They didn't have businesses at all. But I was really listening because that was my circle. And then later I was like, if you've never been swimming, how you gonna tell me how?
Period. Sis.
If you like, but I was really listening. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. And so we were having
why
like
you were listening though?
Ignorance.
You were listening because
no,
you
it's not. I don't
wanted to
think
get close to achieving your dream. And see, a lot of times is
y'all so sweet. Y'all so sweet.
No, but I think the thing about it is I don't know. I just feel like is the thing about it that just kind of let's just go right into it. It's about your circle, right? It's like that's why it's so important to step in your outside of your comfort zone. A lot of us, it's like having a bunch of homegirls you've been friends with for a long time, and they're like, "Girl, yes, they're giving you the worst advice ever, and you love them, but they still is not great advice." Regardless of how much you love your homegirls, right? And the same thing happens. It's like you want to surround yourself with a circle of wisdom, right? First of all, people that's going to check you when you need to be checked, people that are going to support you when you need to be supported, and more importantly, people who are going to roll their sleeves up and jump in and help you when you need to be helped. Sometimes that's just with a directional word or being able to softly say, hey, guess what? You're doing it really well. You know how many friends that I have that I've met in business that will say, you're doing that and that's good, but if you did it this way, you can save yourself some money and save yourself some time. I love those type of friends because they build you. Iron sharpens iron. And what they do, a lot of times people are scared to take advice from other people because they feel like, well, I'm always learning. I'm going to ask a million questions. I'm going to tell you, I don't know how to do that. Why? Because what is the win in trying to act like you know how to do it because you're trying to make it seem like, oh, well, I'm just as good as you. No, I'm a good woman. So guess what? I've been just as good as anybody. But what I don't do is I don't try to act as though I am not in need of knowledge, information, or support. Because I think especially as women, because we've always played that supportive role, we're naturally nurturers. And I think too, in our culture as Black women, we're always supporting everybody, right? But it's important for us to have that same support force to get us where we need to go. And I think that's with everybody. But I could just talk to you as my experience as a Black woman.
All right, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. Y'all have said so much. First thing, thank you both for saying, no, that's not it. And oh, no, I think because you were hungry for knowledge. I was hungry for knowledge. I love words. I think words are powerful. Mm-hmm. It still was ignorance, though, not because of my capacity or my intellect. It was ignorant as in I didn't know what I didn't know. I'm ignorant to the fact I wasn't even made aware of certain things because my circle, as I was coming up, they didn't know, so we didn't know. You do have to get outside of your circle. But I want to let y'all know I felt that love. I mean, it hit me. I was like, oh, I felt it. It warmed me. So thank you so much for that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, again, I want to talk about, this is what I'm saying, like who said it? Because you said as women, we do this and this, and there are these expectations that people fight to conform to or fight to fulfill. And who said those expectations? Because they can undermine what you're trying to do. They can thwart you altogether from doing it. It can abort. You can be like, I want to start this business. And somebody be like, man, it's 1,000,001 businesses like that. So don't do it. And then that person doesn't do it. But if it's 1,000,001 businesses like that, that means it's 1,000,001 markets like that. You know what I'm saying? So when we come back from this commercial break, we're going to go a little bit deeper into like what, again, these are the drivers. Why is it sticking? Why do we feel the need to nurture everybody? Like, what is that? That's how is it validation? Is it deficit? Y'all ain't, okay, commercial, and we're coming right back. right, and we're back, guys. We're watching Knowledge and Nonsense. Well, we're on Knowledge and Nonsense. You're watching it, and we're so grateful that you're watching it. Thank you so much for sharing. I see we have people here on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, and we just really appreciate you. You're such a faithful audience. You show up day in and you show up week in and week out. You guys know on Saturdays we're doing things that will help the community. Although we feel like we live at work, you know, we're in the hospitals on Tuesday. We're doing facility type stuff on Tuesdays. On Saturdays, we're in the community, and we want to share knowledge with you that will help you make more informed decisions. And for you, for your legacy, for your inheritance, because we want everybody to win. And it is possible to have win-win situations. Now, before we left to that commercial break, we were talking about how we get into nurturing and certain practices. And I just want to know, where do we get these expectations that we're trying to fulfill? Is it because somebody said something back when and it found a home? Is it because it's something we saw modeled? Is it because it's what society puts in front of us? Because as we said earlier, social media and those stills, that's the best out of a bunch. And so it's like average isn't a true mean. Do you know what I mean? Like when they say, well, the average is this, but that could be 4 people making $4 and one person making 1.6 billion. And then the average is this. So everybody running over there for averages. No, the mean is most people over there make $4. Okay. I've rambled there, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, so where do we get these expectations? Because I'm a little odd. When I went into business, I just wanted to keep more of my dollar. I know I work lots of hours. My parents did. And I was like, what would happen if I could keep 60 cents instead of 6 cents on the dollar? Like, I wasn't like, I want to have 61 billion businesses. They're going to know it's me and I rule, and boom. I wanted to help people and I wanted to keep more of my dollar. So where do we get these from, guys? Where are these expectations coming from?
I think
why do we conform to them?
And I think, like, just for me, you know, I grew up a lot with my grandparents, right? And what I realized is, and you don't realize it until later on, right? And this is like after you're already in the career world and you're like, oh, yes. And one time I was working in a department and everyone always came to me because they were like, you're just so helpful. You're so useful. And then I realized it almost became an entitled come to me. Like, they'd come to me and just expect me to do this. They didn't even try to look this up or do this or do that. And I think that what I realized, my grandma was a people pleaser, right? Sometimes you're raised.
Come on. Your grandma was a what?
People pleaser. Like, that's the easiest way for me to say it, not deliberately, but just as a byproduct of who she was. Like, she always was serving people. She was always helping people. She was always nurturing people. She always had that unconditional love, whether it be at work or whether it be at home, right? And what it is that I have that trait as well. But I think that you have to learn sometimes that your love and attention is a gift as well, right? And you have to learn where you're putting that energy, where you're not putting that energy, right? And so you learn that through a process. And I just think life in general, there's things that happen and make you say, look, this is what I'm not about to do again. And so I think you as a person, you have to figure out, you have to first of all be protective of your energy. There's only so many hours in a day. So your goal is to, you know, everyone's chasing something different. But I think when it comes to legacy, just touching back on that, your legacy should be to inspire that next generation to become better than you did, right? And so I think we always should be in the process of inspiring, right? And whatever that may mean for your family. I think that money is definitely great, but time is everything. Because you can have a bunch of money and have a dysfunctional family structure that goes on as a legacy as well. And that does nothing for you.
So when I hear legacy, I think legacy empowers the next generation or whoever you're leaving that legacy to be able to do what you do effectively. Like, if they lost everything, they could still do what you do, because legacy to me is not the tangible things. It could be a business, it could be something that continues, but like when I think inheritance, I'm thinking cars, business, something you inherited. Legacy is what's in. And as business it sounds good to inspire. I agree with you on the inspiration, but is that the primary driver? Because a lot of people who just want to inspire have bad business practices. Like,
Well, you want to inspire, but I don't mean just. I guess for me, I look at it like this. I know a lot of people who ran a lot of successful businesses. They're like, "Oh, my son's going to take this over. My kids are going to take this over." Their kids don't want to have nothing to do with that business, and then they get mad at it. But yeah, but you planned their dream for them, right? And so, I think like for businesses, you got to remember. You got to remember, like, is this dream's for you, boo? You got to chase your own dreams. Money will come, you know. And I think what you want to be able to do is I want my son to look at me and say she worked hard for what she wants. So I want him to have a good work ethic. Like when I look at legacy, like my grandparents passed me down and my mother, they passed me down a great legacy of hard work ethic, of integrity, of sincerity. You know, those are the things that you want to keep going on generation to generation. The value of family and stuff. And you want money to go along with that. Don't get it wrong, because I don't want my child to struggle for no reason when I've taught you how to do better, you know? But I think that there does have to be some type of balance, because it can't all be just about money.
no, I don't think it can. Oh, if it does, then money becomes your tool. Your
Yeah.
relationships are bought. The time people spend with you is bought. And it's a very empty and lonely space. I do want to. I've seen that. Like
I
I've
had a
seen
good
it.
friend of
I've seen
mine.
it several
He
times.
passed away. And let me tell you something is for years and years, he was such an inspiring guy. Anywhere we had always had big wig jobs at huge Fortune 500 companies. But we knew each other for over 25 years. Bottom line is I just remembered he was always so busy, be flying places, and he had 3 kids, a daughter and 2 sons. When he got cancer, he was in Ohio, from Ohio. So when he got cancer, his kids they were like, one of them was in Chicago, one of them was in Indiana, one of them was somewhere else. And they had very fruitful careers and stuff like that. But they never came to see him. Like they never came. They'd be like, oh, well, we'll make it down there. We never did. And so a friend of mine, one day we were talking, and he was so frustrated. He's like, I can't believe these kids. And I said, but you got to look at it. He always put work before them. So now they're putting work before him. See, the thing about it, love is taught, right? Just like hate is taught. And when it comes down to it, they never took care of him. Guess when they came? After he passed away. And he was sick for months. It wasn't like he passed away in a month, but it was just that they always put their career before him, right? And that was taught. So I feel like at some point in time, you have to figure out, what does your legacy mean to you? Your career is only 5% of who you are. What is the other 95%? You have to have a self-check that says, guess what? I'm going to, by any means necessary, like she said earlier, but I got to, even if it's a staycation, take your kids somewhere, turn off the phones, enjoy them. Like, what is their favorite color? Who are they dating? What are they like now? How has the pandemic been on them? Just little things. And I think that we forget that we are all human and we change day to day. Our needs of what we needed yesterday is not the needs of what we needed today. And it's our turn to make certain that at every single journey of life, that we turn around and make certain that we invest the same time and energy that we do in our career into ourselves and into our legacy, whether that's tangible or intangible items.
There is that is all true. And that's the part that people need to hear, because people aren't telling them the truth. They're not telling us the truth on up here on social media. And there, in the beginning, when I started, my daughter, she wasn't even one yet, I don't think, right? And she was a preemie. She was born at 7 months. And so I was traveling to Louisiana. Now I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. Our company was in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And so I would go to Louisiana every week, stay there 3 days a week. I did that for 6 months, about 6 months. And now I think it's imperative, especially if you live someplace else and your business is in another location. It's imperative that you have to infuse your DNA into the business to set in such a degree that when you remove yourself from it, your DNA still remains. So that means your company runs as you would run it with whoever you employed to be in that position. So I had to do that for 6 months. Now that decision costs, right? So you have to understand that I wasn't there for Hannah, but 3 days. Well, there's only 7 days in a week, so I wasn't there for Hannah. I wasn't there for my husband. So what happens sometimes is that your decisions cause either a window to open or a big door to open. And when I mean open, anything can come in, anything can happen because you're not present, you're not there, you're not attentive, you're not, whatever, all of that stuff. So you run the risk of things being touched inside your home.
Ooh.
And so I had to experience that. And it was my decision, right, that caused it. That there's ownership. You have to take ownership for what it is that you've done, right? So I took ownership of that part. Now, fast forward, we sold our company in 2015. And then I took a break because I was tired. So I took a break. And then Hannah now she's 16. So, like she woke up one morning showing her shape, like her breasts. I was like, you got breast. It's like I was I wanted to faint. So she just grew up like overnight. Like she's 16, but if you look at her body, she plays volleyball, travel ball. So she looks about 22. So I have to make a decision in any business ventures that I'm in. Will this take away from my time with Hannah? Because she's of the age that she needs me. She needs a mom and a dad. And since we're both in the home, it ought not just be the dad because he works from home. It needs to be the mom too. And I've learned that because when we're having the sex talk, Stephen can't do it. He just got mad. He was like, what's that? What's his number? What's his name? Let me call him, that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh Lord. So I can't imagine if I wasn't there. So any business decisions that I'm making, I have to make knowing that I have a 16-year-old daughter, knowing that I have a husband, it'll be 18 years. So money cannot be the reason I say yes, not solely. And we've had situations come up where people have asked Monica and I to partner with them. Now, to partner with them would mean another state outside of where we are now, because we're in Texas now. And so then I have to make a decision, and Monica has to make a decision in this stage of our lives. Do we want the money or do we want the time with our family? That's a hard decision, because when you are faced with making upwards of 10 million, maybe 10 to 12 million a year, or you can stay here hanging out with your daughter. Yeah, that's a hard decision to make. So if you're fueled by solely cash, then you'll go on and take the offer. But if you realize the importance of legacy, then you won't. That's just my opinion. That's just and it was. I'm telling you, because I'm in that now. I'm telling you, it's a hard decision. It's a hard decision to make. So you start asking yourself, can I do both? Wait a minute. Okay, so what if I do this and when I'm here, I'm doing this with my husband and my daughter. And then when I'm there, nah, you can't do it. You just can't do it. So you're going to have to choose. And what we see on social media is that you can have both. We don't see the back stuff until we see the divorce papers. We don't see the back stuff until you see like their child in prison or strung out on dope or anything like that. But we don't remember that. We remember the fact that they made all this money and now they're doing all of this and they're buying all these cars and homes and stuff. But you don't know, that their home life is jacked up, right? So you have to understand that there are two sides to your decision. It is.
At least.
And if y'all want to know the truth, inbox me. I'll tell you. You have to know the truth before you make a decision.
Listen, as a matter of fact, right now, go on LinkedIn and follow Kim and Tiffany. That's Kim Roundtree. She is the Solus Group. Kim Roundtree with the Solus Group. Tiffany Wyatt with Corbett Mitchell Media. Go on there right now, guys, and connect with them. Send them an invitation on LinkedIn. Follow and connect with them on LinkedIn. Uh, Later, because we're about to bring this to a close, they'll be able to let you know where you can find them on other platforms. But that was really, really good. I want our last question to be this: if you could make it as concise as possible, because we have different people watching right now. I can see who's watching. We have people who just started businesses. Like I said, a lot of businesses, people start a lot of businesses every year anyway. But since the pandemic, with the need to pivot, it's amazing what need will make people do. There's been like so many people who started businesses, and as you said, people blow through money, or they don't know what they don't know, or they're operating from a mindset that has nothing to do with business. Just, if that was me, I would do, I got money in my pocket, what can I do with it? And they're not thinking about the things you said earlier in the show. Go back and look at it, dealing with like Uncle Sam and different things. So here's a real concise question. You said you can be a CEO without being present. And I heard you mention something about DNA. For someone, not the person who just started, because they probably gonna have to wear a bunch of hats, especially if they don't structure business or has run it. How how did you learn how to take the hands off? Was it what you went through when you had to leave everything? Like, how did you learn how to trust the team when you wasn't on site and not micromanage?
So I'm a micromanager. Not anymore. I'm sorry. Lord, forgive me. I'm not a micromanager anymore, but I was. And what I mean by you can leave without being present, you can be the owner of a company, a CEO of a company, and not actually be present, and they still feel your presence. We've learned that just through COVID. I mean, how many Zoom, I mean, like, I'm so, ooh. So
People have
we've
taken
learned
Zoom
that,
too far. Side
right? Your
note.
business can run without you physically being there. More so, they can feel your presence with you being there virtually too. And so, but in the beginning, you have to be up in there a little bit so they can know who you are and what you are. So for me, in Louisiana, I just actually made this post this morning about Yolane. Her name is Yolane in Louisiana. She ran our office. She just corrected me on my text. She sent me a text because I told her on the post, I said that she was our office manager. She sent me a text and she said, I was your director of operations. Okay. So I put director of operations. So she led the office there. And so I would go there every week, like I told you, and I would tell her what to do. And I would tell her to do it the way I would do it. And I did that for a long, for a long time until Yolane said to me, okay, I wish I can have her accent, that Louisiana accent, but I can't. But she would tell me, so are you gonna do it or are you gonna let me do it? Because if you're gonna do it, you just move down here to Baton Rouge and just leave and just live here. And then you can run your own company. And I was thinking in my head, this person, she works for me, but she's telling me these things, right? But we had that kind of relationship. So I was like, well, shoot, I can't pay this person and do her job at the same time. So I can't. That doesn't make sense. You can't pay someone whatever our salary they're going to make and you do their job. That's micromanaging. So what I had to do is decide, do I want to pay her and do her job? That didn't make sense. So I just made the decision to let her do it. The challenge with that when you are a CEO is that it's your baby. You don't want it to look bad, or you don't want anything to happen. You have to be willing to have mistakes happen. You have to be willing for things to fall. You have to be willing for something to not look right, or to get a bad review, or to get, now people will say, no, that's not speaking by faith. It's just reality. Things happen. Just let it happen. It's so hard to let stuff happen negatively in your business because you know the answer. So you want to jump in and fix it. You can't. You have to let the people fail. It's hard to do. I'm telling you. I mean, I literally cried. Like real tears. You really have to let the person or the situation fail. In order for you to be present, away and not be there physically is to allow the people that you put in position to flourish in the position that you put them in, and let them do it, whatever that is. If I write my check and I write my check, and in the memo I put the reason for the check, but she writes the check and doesn't put the reason for the memo, the check is still going to be good. You know what I mean? The check is still going to be cashed. This is when checks were checks, but it's still going to be cashed. I would see a check come across the screen, and I would say, "Well, Yolene, you didn't put the reason for the memo." She said, "Well, the business cashed it." Well, yeah, that's true. So those are things that you have to make sure.
I like Yolene.
That you right. That's girl. You just let them fail and let it keep it going. It's hard to do, but you have to do it. You can't duplicate yourself, because you won't make any more money unless you duplicate yourself. Now that'll preach. You cannot make any more money unless you duplicate yourself in your business. If you don't duplicate yourself, you're only going to make the money that you can make. And that's
good.
It.
Oh, okay. No,
you said to make it succinct, Lord Jesus.
I did. It's 10:06, y'all. I'm gonna cut this off. I'm gonna cut this off in 10 minutes after the hour, because I want to respect y'all's time. No, both of y'all, and y'all are busy ladies. Y'all giving me y'all Saturday. I'm with it. I love it. Thanks, Lord. Okay, Tiffany. Y'all like the hand action there? Tiffany, how about you? Like, how do you well, Tiffany, you know what? I've worked with you, and you will give out a job in a minute and be like, okay, so
one thing, anybody, if you really know me, don't call me and ask me, is there something you need me to do? Baby, what? I'll see you on Monday. Matter of fact, I'll see you today. I don't know. I think that one of the things I want to leave everyone with is, if you want something, work towards that. Everything does not have to fruition in 90 days, right? But put yourself on a 90-day track to become closer to your goal, right? Right. One of the keys to success, in my humble opinion, is writing everything down. I have notebooks after notebooks. I can go back and look and see where I did events before, or I facilitated certain things. Well, guess what? Those are the blueprints of why I was successful. I don't have to recreate it. I can just go back and take out those components and apply it to that next project, right? That is similar in measure, right? A lot of times we overwork things. Like she said, a lot of times we're control freaks. And the reason why we're control freaks is sometimes the things that, prior to that career that may have been, they were out of control. So we don't want to see anything out of control. But one thing I can tell you is a mentor told me, he's like, you cannot worry about the things you can't control. A lot of times, 90% of the stuff we're worried about, we cannot control, period. And even when you do things and do it all the right way, a lot of times it still does not go as you thought it would go, right? But you have to learn that those experiences build your standards. They build your relationships. Because my daddy says, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. Every single action you take, there is going to be a consequence to that, whether it's negative or positive, right? And it's up to you to figure out, on my journey to wherever that may want to be. It doesn't have to be just about entrepreneurship. It's about seeking power out of the position you're in, whether that's at a hospital, whether that is at a grocery store. Guess what? How can I get the most joy out of my day and also get paid to do that, right? So it's about making certain that you understand that whatever level you're at, if you're a starter entrepreneur, maybe it's just the fact that, you have a regular job and you've decided, I'm going to have a goal to give myself, my business on the side, 10 hours a week, right? You might have to give up, the Housewives of Atlanta or something, but those hours can be invested in you, right? And so you have to figure out what you're willing to sacrifice to get to where you want to go. But there's nothing in life that you truly want that's not going to take some, it's going to take some hard curves. You have to be able to balance it out. Like, you have to be able to say, guess what? I'm gonna dedicate 10 hours a week. It doesn't seem like a lot, but at the end of the month, that's 40 or 50 hours you put into you. But we'll turn around and put that same energy into everybody else. And I think that one of the things, especially as a woman, is convincing yourself to put that energy into you. All right, because we've been taught to cater to everyone but ourselves. Ourselves come last on the list, right?
Yeah.
So we all get off kilter sometimes, but the best thing is have that self-checking mechanism inside to be able to say, you didn't let things go too far. It doesn't matter what it's with. You got to make certain that you balance yourself enough to give you self-love that makes you to be the best version of yourself, because you have to learn to reinvent yourself. You have to learn to really put the energy into yourself, because that's the only way you really are in relations with yourself, to know who you are right now. Because if you don't know, you can't tell this other person, well, I need you to treat me like this, because you don't even know what you want.
Truthfully, guys, as we bring this to a close, listen, the best you
This
is
is
the
the
best.
second close.
Yeah, as we bring this to a close, you're worth the best you, even if you don't feel like it, because the best you is the best for the people you love and the people that are around you. So even the
Yay.
way you're giving and wanting to, to almost to like a detriment, to self-detriment for others, be willing to give the best you to those same others, because that is truly the best for them. People don't like this. Listen, it's when they say, "Do as I say, not as I do," that never happens. Patterns over promises. Whether you're a male or female, you're telling somebody to do something, but if your entire life is not doing that, they are going to do what you're doing if you are the model, until something else comes that impresses, impacts, and influences them internally in a different way. If you don't teach them, life will, and that'll take a few more years. So it's better for you to go ahead and teach them. I want to say thanks to D Porter, some great examples. There's the biggest. So I didn't put them all on the screen, but listen, I love that what you said about growing up with the money management. Money was for stacking, not investing, and so then now scared money can't make money. That's an excellent comment. So thank you so much. That's on Facebook, guys. If you want to see that comment, check us out on Facebook. You'll see it there. Karen Cherry, Diney Payne. Just thank you guys so much for these comments. Please go and connect with these ladies on LinkedIn. Where else can they find you? Kim, where can they find you?
Kim Roundtree on Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram, but I don't. That's just so Kim Roundtree on Facebook and LinkedIn. You can also just message me on either one of those platforms if you have questions or anything. I'll help you for free. I mean, I'm not charging. If you just want to ask me some questions now, you can't pick my brain for a long time for free, but you can just message me if you have something.
All right. Tiffany, Corbett Mitchell Media, where can they find you? Oh, Empowerpreneur.
LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on TikTok. You can find me anywhere, baby. But you can look under Corbett Mitchell Media. But you can also look under Tiffany Wyatt. It's just my name.
Okay. Excellent. And my name is Sharon Combs, guys. This has been Knowledge and Nonsense. I have so many things I want to say, but they're going to continue to come out every Saturday. Listen, is it knowledge or is it nonsense? I want us to be able to vet, evaluate our patterns, our processes, and our perspectives. Listen, the narrative has changed. It's changed since we were kids, and it's going to change when your kids are kids to when they are an adult. So let's learn how to vet things. Where did it come from? Why are we still doing it? Does it even still fit? Does it still apply today? Are we making the ham so small, but even now we have a bigger pan so we can put the whole ham in it? I'm not telling you to eat ham. I'm just using it as an analogy, just an example. So let's do that with knowledge and nonsense. Thank y'all so much for sharing your Saturday with me. For those of you who are interested and have asked me about it, the reset starts August 1st. I'll play a little short commercial about it, but it starts August 1st. Just type reset to 214-717-5921, and I can get a registration form over to you. A lot can change in 30 days. It can shift your trajectory. It won't get you exactly where you want to be, but it definitely points you where you want to go, and we can cut out some of the stuff that may be time wasters and maybe hit some of the who said what's that we're living by that doesn't even make sense. The person that said something to you at age 14 and you still trying to prove it wrong or prove it right, what body of knowledge are they coming from? So let's look at these things and let's make informed decisions. You ladies have anything final before we go? Comments still coming in. Oh, I love Kim Roundtree. She's the real 100. And all the ladies here. I'm gonna put it up there. Yes. Yeah, she's in.
Oh, D. Thanks, D.
Yes.
D, if you guys need insurance, D is that lady. She has helped a lot of people that I've sent to her get insurance that doesn't have money. Like seriously, she's helped a lot of people.
All right. Well, y'all hear it now because we have a lot of people who listen who are, like I said, who are employees and who are contractors, and we have people who are business, like entrepreneurs. And so
Yeah.
I love our
Mhm.
listeners. We run the gamut.
I just would leave you with this: be kind to yourself. Right? You're in progress at every point in time in life, and if you're someone out there, whether you're a leader and you're like, oh my gosh, let the people that you hired, let them do their jobs, like, and don't be scared for them to fail, because they'll eventually find confidence and do it very well. And that will give you back your time and energy. Don't be scared to let them find their own groove. And take off some time. Enjoy your weekends when you can. Now I'm gonna be honest.
Yes, I like what you just said. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
Enjoy your weekend. And I want everybody to enjoy the weekend. Thanks again, ladies, so much. I look forward. Hopefully we're able to do this again. Y'all be safe. God bless. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
Bye.
See you next time, Kim.